I always say, if you have the confidence, if you have the drive, if you have a dream, you must follow.
Right, welcome to Bigger Than the Hustle podcast, where I bring you real conversations with entrepreneurs on how they live their lives outside their business. Now, today, this is a talk I've been looking forward to for a while. I'm talking to a guy called Ash, a really old friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time, someone I vibe off, someone I get energy off, and his energy will come through today. I know he's such a good guy, his thinking is good, and he's not done it in the traditional way. So there's a lot to learn. So what I'm going to do, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ash. Ash, how are you, buddy?
Oh, good. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you very much. Entrepreneur, I don't know about that though, guys.
So a lot to live up to, man. People are waiting for you, bro. So, yeah, if you could just introduce yourself, a little bit of background for you, and then we'll go into the conversation.
Absolutely. As Bhavik has introduced myself, yeah, I'm Ashraf Uddin. We run an organization called Global Market Summits. We are a business intelligence information organization. Predominantly, our platform is designed to bring business to business people in the B2B world to simply interact and have business conversations on a face-to-face level. We predominantly run our events around the manufacturing remit. So you can have life sciences in manufacturing, supply chain in manufacturing, Internet of Things in manufacturing, the list simply goes on. So we do around 10 events on a yearly basis. All of the events are international. None of them are in the UK. We have around 120 attendees per event. And as I said, it's a way of the business world interacting with each other on a very high level. We call it the C-level suite. To discuss opportunities, how they can partner, what are the challenges, what are the pain points in the industries they're working in. So the business has been running for about, 9-10 years now. Very successful business. We've grown we've grown in a very fast pace, and we are now looking and introducing with COVID-19 new platforms in terms of how we can obviously, create more effectiveness within the business to business world. As you can imagine, the last thing individuals want to do at this stage with this global pandemic is travel or interact face to face. So we have to look at other products which we've released. And yeah, that's what Global Market Summit is basically in a nutshell.
Perfect. Now, we're going to go back. We're going to go into your backstory a little bit later, into your business.
Oh, don't do that.
Working started, right? But really, what I wanted to I know a lot of people listening will have a thing where they try and build confidence in themselves, where they're confident about how they speak, how they come across, or being in front of other people and trying to, translate their message. One thing when I met you, over 20 years ago now, one thing I know you've never been short of is confidence, right? Where that's come from, that's what I really want to talk about. You've always been someone that's just seen something and gone for it. Irrespective who it is and how it is, somehow you've worked out a way. Now, what I want to do is just deep dive a little bit into this confidence and your upbringing sort of as a young boy coming up, and then how that's sort of transmitted through to you being the person you are today and how it's led you to being here today. So where do you think that sort of come from, and how do you think you continue to sort of use your confidence in the way you do?
I think I have to talk about my father a lot on this aspect, and the confidence has always been built in from my father. And I think with all, Asian parents, there was a certain criteria that we had to follow as a child, which unfortunately I didn't. I think I do get it off my father, because in his early days, he was quite a very successful businessman. And then when I look back more recently it would probably be my brother. As you probably know, he's a very successful individual. He's a music producer, songwriter, and growing up with him and living with him taught me a lot of confidence in certain aspects, because I was looking at an individual who was doing something which nobody was doing at the time. And, you know, everybody was against it, for example. But at the same time, he did very well, and we used to live together, and he had his music studio in the back in the garden, and we used to have all these famous A-list artists walk in and out the house. And I used to think, I want a piece of this. How can I get a piece of this? You know, but I couldn't sing, I couldn't produce, I couldn't write. But yeah, I think if we go back to confidence, it's all about your upbringing, what you see, and the communication you've had with certain individuals in your lifespan, such as my father and my brother. And I think that comes with a lot of positivity. It goes hand in hand, the positivity and the confidence as well. So yeah, I think I got that a lot from my father and my brother as growing up and seeing what they were doing. Because as I said, my father was very successful in what he was doing. And then obviously Mush went a complete different way. And he was very successful in what he did.
And I think, like you mentioned there, so your upbringing, the environment around you, and the people that surround you. You know, so you have your own sort of self-belief, but when you're younger, you're sort of still vulnerable. You're still learning it. You're still working stuff out. But when you're surrounded by people and you can identify and you can actually mirror yourself and say, actually, if these people who are so close to me can be this way, what's stopping me from, you know, being that way? And it's almost, you become like a sponge and absorb in the things they're doing, especially if you respect them, like your dad, your brother, you respect them, so you always look up to them, right? And then if you can then take that and mold into your own version of confidence in, you know, you've gone into the sales field, and you know, you are a salesman. You know, at your core of what you do, you like talking to people, you like interacting with people, and it's not just about selling, but it's a psychology of communicating with people, right? So in the from what I see, it's so important to be able to communicate with people, whatever level they're on, whether that be a child to the oldest person, you know. And the key thing for me in sales has been adapting to how the other person needs you to hear you for your message to get through to them, right? So in terms of sales and your role within your organization, I know you started just you know, and if you can just go a little bit into, before you started, what position you're in, because I know you were in an organization and that didn't work out well, and you were on your sofa at one point, not being able to sort of operate or work, and then deciding, actually, you know what, screw this, I'm just going to work this out myself. So if you can just go a little bit into that, because I think that's a really interesting time of your life, really.
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was working for if we go back a little bit, I went into sales, telesales, and again, we were selling advertisement space in business briefings, a very good company itself. From there, I moved on to a company called Data Monitor, a very, very successful company. From Data Monitor, I went into a software company, not knowing about software or anything. And I was responsible for the international sales and marketing, global international sales and marketing. So it was a big role. It was a big step up. It was a big responsibility. And I met the CEO at an event. And at the event, I was overseeing their account, and I got to know him. And he said, "Look, I really like the way you've interacted with me, etc. Let's talk. Let's stay in touch." So we did. And then about a month later, he dropped me an email. "You got a second where we can talk?" I think after about a week or so, yeah, we started talking. We started negotiating. He had a vision. He wanted to. It was a software company based in Portugal where they did automated migration, which I did not have a clue about. I mean, I'm the worst person when it comes to tech and software. And he had a vision, and I really what took me and the reason why I was interested in pursuing this further with him. He had a vision, and his vision was, look, I've done this here, but I know I can do it on a global scale, but I don't know. I haven't got that. He was a techie guy. He wasn't commercial. So I said, all right, let's have a discussion. So we kind of like reached a very favorable accord. I had a very, very good position there. I went to Portugal for a couple of weeks, sat with the team, sat with the entire company, sat with him, the FD, a couple of other individuals on the board, understood what they did, and more than anything, understood what their requirements are to move forward and what the market needs. So I kind of like did a market study with a couple of people in regards to migration, and then we started off a UK small sales team here in London. The research and development was done in Leicester University, the computer science department, because the CTO was a part-time professor there at Leicester University as well. We started selling the actual software, again, cold calling, contacting enterprises for migration. They had a very specific automated solution which was favoring Microsoft from their .NET platform. So they were taking Oracle clients to .NET. So we worked out kind of like a strategy where we were selling, we were bringing in new business, and then, cut a long story short, we somehow, the supply got so much, the demand got so much we couldn't actually supply. So we kind of like sat down and brainstormed, and I said, with the team, I said, look, this is a platform that is making Microsoft money on the .NET platform. They're selling licenses. We haven't got the resources to obviously keep up with the demand. Let's approach Microsoft and say, guys, you guys have got the human resources. We're bringing clients from competitor organizations such as Oracle to Microsoft.net. We haven't got the resources. You guys need to train them, because once you sell the tool, there was a 1-month training session that needed to be done before you hand over the tool, if that makes sense. And then within about 6 months, Microsoft started knocking on the company's door saying, we want to acquire you, etc. So in a way, I was kind of like made a bit redundant. I knew that was going to happen, but I thought, hell what, so what? After 3 years, it's a good experience. I was going back and forth to Microsoft headquarters in Redmond with the chairman and the CEO about 5 or 6 times a year, which was a very, very good experience. I learned a lot from that. And then it got to a stage where obviously I shot myself in the head. My job was made redundant. I had to move on. It was a very good number. And that's the time when I was sitting on my couch and I was saying, oh God, what do I do now? And of course, my first child was born, Imani. And then I went and did some consultation work with an old friend of mine who we worked together, and I developed and trained him as a sales guy. And he went on to open up his own company. So I went there for about 3 months, and that's when I thought, you know what, I could do this myself. And this guy I kind of like trained and developed myself. So I think I should have a go and try this myself. So yeah, that was the start of Global Market Summits. Within about 6 to 8 weeks, we got stuff together. We had my brother-in-law's Gin, as you know, his friends designing the website in Leicester, saw media for us. Give them a good plug because they helped us a lot when we first started. Gary and the boys, Gary and Dean. And then at the same time, we kind of like registered the company. We didn't even know how to register a company on Company's House. That's how bad it was. And then Cam helped us set it up in her kitchen in her house. Good old days they were. I'm talking about 9 years back. Yeah, so we set Global Market Summits up.
And that first day when it was just you and the handset before you know, that first call you made as GMS, you know, and that's how it started, didn't it? It was literally, let me pick up the phone and let me start calling people. Is that right?
It was the best feeling ever. Really, really was. And I remember Palm taking a day off because she had to go to work, and she said, I'll take the day off. It was the 2nd of January, 2012, and we registered the company September 2011, correct? 2012 January, 2nd of January, we started off the operations. And I kid you not, we were in a room, I was in a box room with 4 tables, 1 phone, my computer, and a whole list of clients, which I obviously build a rapport and sold to them in the past, in my past jobs. Everywhere I went, I kept my database with me. And that was it. And Palm said to me, "You better not mess up. You better not mess this up." I go, "Don't worry, leave it with me." And that was it. That was it. And then we, you know, that was really it. But that was when it all kind of like opened up, and I thought, you know what? And then the first chap I employed was Af, my younger brother. He joined in February, and then in March we brought in my youngest brother. And you know, 9 years down the line, they're still with us, working with us. You know, solid. But that's it. That's where we started the business. From the fundamentals, and it just moved on from there.
And I think, you know what I love about all these stories, especially when, you know, when someone just has an idea and a whim and some energy to say, you know what, I haven't got really a clue which way this is going to go. All I know is I have confidence in myself, and I know I'm good at a certain thing. And what I want to do is just use that thing and see how the door opens. You know, when we talk about the past, so you can say, all my past has been like this, but to project to the future, we don't actually know what's going to happen until you open the door and walk through. So anyone who's younger that's looking to sort of step into their own, especially, you know, we're in a time right now when things have changed a lot, you know, for everyone. I don't think anyone's life is the same as it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you know. So anyone who's maybe in a lot of fear right now, maybe stressed about their own position, about their own role, you know, where they work for someone, they're not sure if they've still got a job, etc. They don't know if the business is still going to exist, and they're thinking, you know what, I have a passion, maybe I have a skill that I think other people would be interested in, other people have told me, and I really want to maybe move this into something proper, maybe a side hustle or a proper hustle where I actually start it as a business. What would your advice be based on how you started to what is possible for anyone who's looking to do that?
I mean, you know, we're always stuck in a comfort zone, no matter what, where you are in life. You feel that, you know what, why should I change something that is not broken, or why should I change my lifestyle, or where I'm happy with what I have. And sometimes there are two aspects here. There could be one aspect when, you know, you've got no other means but to go and start off of your own, or you've had enough and you want to really start off on your own. It all depends on the personal individual and the circumstances as well. But if we look at today where we are with COVID-19, I think it's a great time for opportunities. I mean, that's my mindset, and that's the way I think. I look at things. Yes, absolutely, it's an unstable situation at the moment when it comes to business, when it comes to lifestyle, when it comes to family, when it comes to everything, because it's a dominoes effect, it's a knock-on effect. But you've probably noticed some companies are exploiting the situation, COVID-19, where toilet paper, you couldn't find toilet paper in the beginning. When you go to buy a chicken, you used to buy it for £4, now it's like 10 quid all of a sudden. You know, it's ridiculous. But and they're people who are, you know, taking advantage of the situation, if that makes sense. So I always say, if you have the confidence, if you have the drive, if you have a dream, you must follow it. Because worst comes to the worst, if it doesn't work, you go back to what you were doing before. You know, and there's a saying. We call it in sales. There's a saying: every no you're getting, every door that's getting closed in you, you're getting closer to a yes. So keep on trying. You've got to constantly keep on trying, and that's what we do in sales. It's a numbers game. You know, I've got a team of sales individuals, great team. They're contacting clients, they're cold calling them, they're building clients, they're building existing customers, we're delivering. But when you first make that first call, there has to be a means for it, you know, and you have to have that confidence.
And what, you know, a lot of people have, you know, when they talk about fears, you know, one of the fears being sort of public speaking, one of the fears being death, the other one is picking up a phone cold trying to build, talk to someone or getting through to someone and being rejected, and then saying, actually, I'm not going to do that anymore. You obviously have a completely opposite viewpoint to this. For you, it's more energy to say, actually, let me try again, let me try again. And in life, there's so many situations that it can be like that, where if you just carry on, you almost get used to the rejections, that you almost becomes not normal, but because you're used to, you become more natural to it. And therefore the other person on the other side is more can be receptive to the 6th or 7th or 8th conversation you have with that person. Now, what would you say to someone that's saying, actually, I've made 2 calls and that's it, no one's interested, I don't want to talk to them anymore? What would you say for them to carry on, to continue on that?
Yeah, we've had scenarios like that in our business, but there's 2 sides to individuals who. Some individuals have got the experience before, so they might not fall into that trap.
Yeah.
But for new starters, of course, we get that all the time, where they think it's the right organization, we think and we feel it's the right individual. However, after about within a week, they get burnt out and they say, I can't do this anymore. And that's just an individual personal thing, which it's like that, they can't do it anymore. However,
so what's the psychology in that? Do you know, in terms of actually just saying, I'm just going to carry on? Because you've got that.
We have a terminology in sales, and I always go back to the sales terminology.
Yeah.
We call them farmers.
Okay.
They're not hunters, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they've just given up. They've just put their hat on the table, and they've just said, enough's enough, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
However, if we flip it, I've had situations and I've had experiences with individuals I've interviewed, and I just personally thought that they're not right for the job. But they wouldn't leave the room, and they would say to me, Ash, please give me this one opportunity, just one opportunity I need, and I'm sure I will be able to deliver. And then within seconds, I've just kind of thought to myself, okay, I'm going to give you that opportunity, but don't screw up, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've had individuals where I've taken that hit and taken that responsibility to take these people on. They've become the best salespeople I've ever worked with in my life. Because you know why? They would constantly just repeat what they're doing, never give up, never give up. We were told to make $110 a day when we joined sales, right? Now you've got the internet, now you've got all these,
different portals,
different platforms and etc., where you can get access to individuals and people for. Way back in the days, it was just the yellow pages on your table and the phone, get on the phone, nothing. But back to the question, you have to be a hunter or you have to be a farmer. I always thought sales is easy, everybody can do sales. It's only recently I've realized sales is really not for everybody. Quite tough, you do get burnt out. But the people who do stick it out earn a lot of money. They earn a lot of money,
And I think, if we sort of move away from business, sales, when you say sales, it's almost sometimes it's seen as a negative. And what I mean by that is it's sometimes seen as selfish, like, what am I trying to sell? What am I trying to sell, right? But I think in terms of life, if we can know ourselves well, if we can adapt to our environment and the person that we're talking to try and be closer to how they want. So if they're technical, we be technical. If they don't want to be technical, don't be technical. If they want you to talk slowly, quietly, you talk slowly, quietly. And I think it's that chameleon mentality which makes a good person to interact with, especially if you're on the other side. Now, sales is probably not the right word, but moving into relationships. Now, the most important sales that you've done is with one of my oldest friends, one of my best friends, Palm, right? And I know she's a tough cookie to crack, right? And and she, and you've been married now, what? 8, 7, how long have you been married now? 13 years? 14 years?
I think
14 years, because something like that, right? And I remember when you met her and you already said that, I saw her and I thought, you know what, that's someone that I need to, where you felt that even you were being challenged in terms of this person here, and then you had to step up and adapt yourself to bring this person into life. You see the value of her in your life and say, now I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, right? So can you remember those days back when you first met, when you first met Palm, and how she's changed you as a person and the man you are today because she's come into your life?
I can't remember, Pav. Not really.
I know you're old, bro.
You know what? You're right. It does take. It works in both ways. You need a good relationship and a good person that you can perhaps trust and get on with. And I think the way our minds think, they're very compatible in certain ways. Mm. She's a very positive and a bright individual herself, and yeah, in the early days when I first met her, I think it was, early 20s when we first met. We just clicked immediately there and then. And then it got to a stage where she said, screw all this riffraff that you're doing. You need to go and get a 9 to 5. And I said, what, a 9 to 5? What's that? Yeah, and then in a way, kind of like I had no choice. If I wanted to still be with her, I had to go and get a 9 to 5, and then I went and got a 9 to 5. And again, it was the industry I'm still in now. Today, I joined an organisation doing what I'm doing now, and after about 3 weeks, I came back and said, "Nah, this is not for me. This is not going to work." And she said, "Just stick it out for about another 3 more weeks, and let's see how it goes." If that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I did. I just stuck it out for another 3 weeks, and the rest is history when it comes to that. But you're right. I mean, I think it's all about having the trust, the belief, and that relationship, as you said. And we just got on with each other from day one, and we still do. We still do. When we, I think we enjoy. Of course, we enjoy the kids and going out together, but I think me and Palm, when we're out alone, we have the best times of our lives. Yeah. When we go on holidays alone, we have the best times of our lives. So we always say to each other, no matter what, of course the kids are important, but we have to go out once a month, date night, or once a year as a holiday, just us two on our own. And we do that. And I think that's quite healthy, and it helps a lot. But she's good. She's the backbone of the family, as it is, and for me to go and get a pound off Palm, I've got a picture for a month, You hate to be saying that, but that's the way it is,
Yeah. So with sort of anyone listening, if they're sort of with someone right now, if they're in a relationship, or they're just girlfriend, boyfriend, or they're living together, wherever it is, and they're thinking of treading down that step of marriage, what kind of conversation do you think they should be having before they decide that this is the right path or the right person for me?
I think take your time, take your time, because me and Palm, we took our time. We just moved with the flow. Enjoy your life. Enjoy each other's company, Don't try to find out too much about each other. Just move with the flow and enjoy your life, and take it from there. You don't commit to anything now. Enjoy your lives and, have a good time. Life's too short. That's what you've got to do first of all.
And I think what's quite good right now is, especially with sort of my own relatives and people around me, people are waiting. So as in, I got married at 27. Right now I look at a 27-year-old, maybe think that's a little bit too young in terms of knowing yourself as a person. As a lot of cousins of mine are 30 years plus, and now they're thinking maybe I should look to settle down and stuff, where you know yourself better. And I think that's so important, because even I would say I've started getting to know myself over the last 3 or 4 years, where I really know who I am, what makes me tick, how I want to build my environment, what kind of people I want to be surrounded by, and what makes me the strongest version of myself based on the experience I've got. So waiting till later, for sure, exactly what you said there, I think is so important, because we as people grow. I've always said I don't have another half. I'm whole, and I have another whole person with me, and that synergy we create helps with the people around us, our children and our family and our friends. And I think it's so important to say that we as people, we are individual. And when we choose to bring another individual into our life, it has to be the whole has to be better than just the person on their own. And I think that's where you know if you're with the right person, because if they're pulling you down, or if you're struggling because that person is in your life, maybe there's a question that you have to ask is this person right for me or not? What would you say?
Agreed, 100%, 100%. I think it's very important. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a strong believer of settling down eventually, no matter what. You know, getting married to the right person. You know, having children, having a happy family. Again, it's everybody's own opinion and, you know, what they want to do in life and how they want to see things in life.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I think it's very important to be in a relationship, or, you know, try and get into a relationship. At the same time, take your time and understand each other, and then make that commitment moving forward. Otherwise, you're going to rush things, and if things are not going to work out, and it's just going to be worse than what it is to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And, you know, we talk about love or relationships with other people. What does self-love mean to you?
It's a very good question, Bhavik. I think it's weird this year, but I've always, in my way, I've always looked after myself. If that, you know, I wouldn't step out the house if I'm not looking sharp, for example. It's just in me. That's the way it is, yeah. Because that inspires me. When I go to work, I always like to have a clean shave, wear nice clothes, go to work, because you're representing yourself, you're representing a company, and people are going to look at you and think, you know, wow, this person, the way, you know, the persona, if that makes sense. And I think that's a knock-on effect, and that's a balance, if that makes sense. Because I look at my son now, and he tries to look like me. He tries to do things like, oh, I want to be like Daddy. I want to wear this. Can you get me that? Can you get me that? So it's setting that example, setting that tone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And a couple of things you said there. The last thing was setting examples. So for me, as we get older, I tend to listen less to people and see their actions. So rather than hear the words they're saying, I look at their life and their actions they live. So if you say you're healthy, show me you're healthy. If you say that you're a good, positive person, I want to hear that. I want to see how you live your life in that way. And that means so much more to me for it to resonate with me, to say, actually, I want this person in my life because, you know, they are what, you know, not what they say, but they are what they do. Because actions are harder to hide, words are easy to say sometimes, you know. And especially now we have children, I think it's so important that we live by our actions, because they, you know, like they say, they see us, they see what we do, not what we say. And they're more likely to try and mirror what we're doing. So if we're saying we're living a certain way, hopefully, because that's the environment that we're building for them, right? They have little exposure to the outside world, apart from families and school, where they've gone off on their own. So if we can set them a good foundation, I've always said, if I can set a good foundation for my kids, what that does is create the next generation for this world to be a great place. You know, if we want to affect the world, rather than going out and fighting for climate change, fight for whatever it is, and they're all good causes, first build your kids. If you can build your kids, you're already affecting the next generation and the world that they're going to live in, you know. So to me, that's always important. And now, you know, looking at kids, you've got, you know, 3 kids now, and it's not easy. Like, you know, you'll know yourself, you know, I've spent so much time out the house over the last few years. I was almost like an alien within my own home, and it's taken me time to adapt, learn about them. And it's so good that now we're in a place where they're like friends to me. You know, we still have a relationship of when things need to be done and I say they need to be done, they get done. But most of the time it's a case of, how can I learn off you and how can you learn off me? And, you know, that symbiotic relationship with your children, I know you have that as well, where you as they get older, you want to be more of an influence. So how do you think you're doing that within your life to affect them?
Look, we're trying, Bhavik. I mean, I think influence is very important for a child, and that's because of my experience and what I saw when I was young. And I believe the same. It is very important to first things first, educate your children. Obviously, make them understand that things are not easy to get. Discipline is very, very important. But at the same time, I want that father and son and daughter relationship. But at the same time, I want the balance where I want to, in a way, be their friends as well.
Yep.
So they can open up to me, they can talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I didn't have that as
Yep.
a child, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in the 21st century now. Things have changed. And I do my best to be as blatant with my children as possible. I won't be around the bush. Imani does find it a little bit difficult sometimes, but she's getting her head around it. But I'm a blatant person. That's the way it is. And sometimes Palm would say, "You can't say that." I said, "Why not?" Because by the time they're 25, they're going to use that language anyway. So why not? You know? But yeah, it's, you have to set the example 100%. You have to discipline them. The rest is really up to them, Bobby.
And I think, one thing I've always admired about you is honesty. When things are going well, you will say they're going well. When things are not going so great, you'll say, because what's the point of building a facade and a mask for everyone to see when really the real you is behind that and no one's seeing that? And I think with social media, especially with the younger generation, I always try to speak to Kyra about this, is say, always be your truth, whatever that is. Because the people that will come towards you are the people that you really need near you. The ones that only come towards you because, like you'll know yourself, the ones when, the big flashing lights, the big, the money, the cars, the houses, all those things will attract a certain amount of people. But as soon as that's gone, they're gone. And there, we don't need those plastic people in our life. We need the people that are there. And the ones when we're down and out, the ones that will say, "Ash, bro, here's my hand, man. Let's get up. Let's try again. We'll do this." Do you know what I mean? And they're, for me, they're the value in what we create within our lives. And if we can be strong for ourselves, we can be strong for them when they need us. It's like when you say you go training. I know fitness is important to you and health is important to you. And why do we do that? It's because when our body maybe is not in the best position, or maybe say we had an accident, we know that we invested in ourselves at that time, that we can recover well and carry on. It's like when you say, I put money aside for the future, that when things go, like right now, that things might have gone balls up a bit, but none of us need to panic because we know we've put stuff aside, we're okay, and let's not move our life into a panic situation, because it can get like that, especially with money. I see, I've noticed that money is like oxygen now. If suddenly you start gasping for air because you're running short, you start making irrational decisions. And those irrational decisions don't serve anyone. You're just trying to survive. But when you have that gas tank on your back, even when you're deep underwater, you've got enough oxygen to find a way, find a route out, because on the other side of the clouds, the sunshine is still there. You just have to get through it. What's your importance, something like that?
Another very good question. I think in the beginning, when I used to obviously work for other companies, and when I started my career in what I'm doing, money was very important to me. Mm-hmm. I think it still is up until today, but I think about 10, as soon as I got married, put it that way, about 10 plus years ago, I made that decision to not worry about money, which is very, very tough and difficult on Palm, right? I made that decision not to worry about money. What I mean by that is, after we got married, I said, all the financials, I don't want to know about. I'll go out there and hustle and make whatever. But when it comes to a birthday, a wedding, or this, that has to get paid, this has to get paid, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's the best decision I ever made in my life. It was. But for her, it was probably the worst decision. Because up until today, I don't know financially what I have, what I got, which is stupid for me to say, Babby.
Yeah.
I'm an honest guy. I don't know. I trust Palm. She just gets on with everything. Yeah. I say to her, can we do this? Yeah. Can we do this? No. 99% of the time when I ask her, can we do this? It's no. But the kids ask her, it's yes. But I think money is very, very, very important. But there's more important things to money. Mm-hmm. I think one thing I've learned is to trust individuals and people, for example. And I think after I got married and after we had our children, the mindset slowly started to change. It wasn't just about money. Of course, I still wanted to be successful and make money, but it kind of like changed in a way where I thought, do you know what? You know, the financial side of things, I've got a strong backbone here. She looks after that. If she looks after that, I can concentrate on other stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've always had that balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do get situations where I've experienced, I haven't like blatantly or experienced it directly in my face, because I've always been very choosy and careful with who I associate myself with. And as soon as I see a bad pair in a bunch, I don't really associate myself with those individuals. So I haven't had any experiences where I found it a tough situation where I've tried to go to an individual for advice or help and it hasn't been there. I think I've kept it quite balanced in that aspect, and so it's worked out all right for me. But yeah, I hear you. I understand. You know, in life you do get those experiences when the chips are low, people will move away from you, and you know when as you said, if you've got a flash car, big house, flash whatever, people want to associate themselves with you, and that's just natural. It's human nature. You can't stay away from that. So that's my point.
But I think it's being aware of it as well, isn't it? It's just knowing that I get this, I understand what's going on here, so therefore I choose not to be drawn into that. I think as you get older, you see it more, you have a bit more perspective with what's going on. But when you're younger, you can be easily influenced, by a lot of individuals. And I think sometimes you need to actually do that. You need to go through that to know, actually, maybe that wasn't right, or maybe that shouldn't have been the way. But unless I went through it, I wouldn't have known. And that's important to my kids as well, in terms of let them make mistakes. I want them to fall down. So that when they stand up again, they're like, maybe I shouldn't go onto that path and fall over. I cut my leg last time, And there's so many life lessons that I've learned by people just letting me go through it, me shit hitting the fan and thinking maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. And I know I have a quick learning curve to say, actually, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I need to adapt a little bit, or maybe I need to increase the knowledge I have on a certain situation or a certain thing for me to improve that, And, having people around me to draw that information upon is like, I know you're really good in certain areas and things like that. And I'm so glad I have, anytime I can pick up the phone and say, Ash, bro, what do you think about this? And you'll give me your honest advice. And just like you're good with that, there's good people with good relationships, people good with just mindset and energy. And to draw upon that all the time, I think is so good. As for us to be the strongest version of ourselves, I think we need to draw energy from the people around us so that we can then not just take, but we give back double to what we've actually had from that, So I thank you right now for that. And always, I know you're always going to be my life, full stop. So, thank you. So going forward from here, what skills do you think you still need to grow, learn, or master to become a better version of yourself?
I think I need to work on my patience a lot. I'm not a patient individual. And that's something that, I need to work on. And I've started to work on it. I'm a bit more laid back now, but I've just always been this hyperactive kid, child, man, whatever you want to call it now. Patience is something that I need to work on, and I know I can better myself on that. Yeah. But that's, again, coming from the upbringing that you've had. If I want something, I'll always go and make sure I get it or try my best to get it. In my early days, it was always like that. If I wanted something, I'd get it now. But now, when you've got 3 children, you've got other responsibilities and etc., you're just a bit laid back. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when it comes to my family life, that's my priority, for example, if that makes sense. And if I have to be a bit more patient with family than anything else. But in my business world, in my working environment, I like things done in real time. And I always say to my team members, what's the solution? Oh, it's a problem. What problem? Problem is not a word that I associate myself with.
Yeah.
Come to me with solutions. And once you start adapting that into individuals, you get things done in real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
I mean, it's like this. All good leaders, in a way, don't do all the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got a team. They're good at delegating, and the team actually produce and do all the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But all leaders just sit back and they don't really do all the work. They start off the work initially, and then they start delegating, and it goes from there, if that makes
sense. It's like the analogy when they say, if you want to have, if you are some parts of all the people you surround yourself with, so especially in business, if you're not good at something, get someone that is good at that. Yeah. Because when you first start business, like I said, you fill all the pockets and say, I need to do all this. But eventually you just want to do what you're good at and then bring in the people what they're good at. So that builds a good business, right? And that I think is in life as well. If you can use that analogy in life as well, I think we can go really far as individuals. So you talked about, building patience, and I've always said my superpower is patience, in terms of I understand that things are going to take time. Let them take time. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm quite a patient guy in a lot of things that go on. And I've understood, I think from a young age, is that we overestimate what we can do in a short time and underestimate what we can do in a long time. And it's for me the long time, which is shit's going to take time. Just let it take time. But if you keep working at it, slowly progressing and having discipline to keep at it, it will get there, and it'll be even better than what you expect. So if I asked you what do you think your superpower is, what would you say yours is?
I think social networking and building a rapport, and just understanding individuals and making friends, connecting. That I think that's my strength. That really is, and I'm lucky to have that in a way. But I don't. A lot of people say I'm lucky to have that, but it's a natural thing. To me, it's just natural.
Yeah.
I think really my strengths lie in my, connections and building the rapport and communicating with individuals.
Yeah.
I've always said there are the 3 C's that make me who I am today, which is the communication, the confidence, and the commitment. The 3 C's. And I think that's where my strength lies. And I can understand individuals rather than just talking. You want to listen to individuals and understand what their mindset is, where it is, what excites them, what do they not like talking about, what we should talk about, how do I, get that person's interest, how do I engage with this person. And I think that's my strength, or that you can call it a skill or a strength, whatever you want to call it. But,
and I think, from ever since I've known you, I know you give off a certain energy, and that energy, as I've got older, I feel people's energies as opposed to hearing their words. So, and I've always found that with you, there's an energy of, do you know what? If you want to do it, just fucking go out and do it. There'll be hurdles in the way, but you find a way around it. You just knock the fucker out of the way. It's just, somehow you're going to get through. And that for me, from a young age, I've always been an introvert. I've always been quite a quiet boy, and it's only sort of going through university and coming out and then going through a lot of shit in my life that I've come out to the version I am today, which a lot of people will see the veneer, which is, I like talking to people. I like holding conversations, especially one-on-one. I can enjoy those, but in my own time, I'm quite a reflective person. I'll sit back, I'll take a look at what's going on, and I don't try and let things affect me, but I like having that where we can click both on at the same time. And the way I see you is that where I think you can grow actually is that it's like being a tortoise in a hare's outfit. So also hair in a tortoise's outfit. So what I mean by that is it's like showing from the outside that you're really quick, but then inside slowing it all down and saying, actually, I'm going to keep this energy going, but live my life to say, actually, if it's going to take a few years, I'm going to let it take a few years, but I'm not going to stop with the way I'm thinking. And if you can do that, I don't know if you watch stuff online, there's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about this as you get older, is still have perspective and know things are going to take time, but still keep moving, keep thinking, keep adapting, keep learning, keep moving, and give the energy off that people can draw upon. But you inside is saying, you know what, whatever happens, it's fine, I've given it a go, but I know if I let it just take time, whatever that may be, whether that be the relationship with my children, whether that be my business, whether that be my partnership, whether that be friends around me, I'll build it in. Because I know that's against your nature. Ever since I've known you, that's against your nature. And I know you need to adapt slightly, but don't change who you are. Because I think that's you've got such an energy you give off, and everyone knows that. That the honesty, the two things I would say your strengths are your honesty and, like you said, your communication skills, because I know you can get on with anyone, whether it be a CFO of Pfizer or your own kids. And I think that's a great skill to have. So you just carry that on, because I think you've gone far as it is. I know that, but there's so much more to go. So, hey?
Not far enough.
I know this. I'm saying so up to now, you've got to where you are right now, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think the next steps for you to feel that if we go forward 20 years and you look back from today to the next 20 years, what do you think is possible for you based on your mindset? And what kind of things would you like to experience by then that you've not done so far?
Obviously, I want, the children to grow up, settle down, educate themselves, etc. But I want to travel. I want to just travel and because I like traveling. I used to hate traveling till I met Palm. But I just love traveling back, and I just really want to see different parts of the world, see different communities, and travel. And we do quite a lot of charity stuff as well in our spare time. And I want to really concentrate and spend a lot of time on that aspect of things as well.
And I know you've set up a foundation. Can you just go a little bit into that in terms of what you do?
So we've got a foundation. It's called the Izzy Foundation. And what we do, the purpose of the foundation is to simply set up freshwater tube wells for undeprived regions around the world. So we've started off where my parents are from, Bangladesh, first of all, and then we'll scale into India, Pakistan, Africa, South America. We do that. I mean, the foundation, we started off about a couple of years ago. At the moment, we don't take any donations. It's just solely financed by myself and Palm. Mm-hmm. So up until today, we kind of do about a couple of tube wells on a monthly basis, and we have an ambassador in Bangladesh. And we're working on ambassadors having in different other countries and regions as well. And the purpose of the foundation is to, serve clean water to the most deprived areas and regions in the third world countries. That's the purpose of that foundation. And, if we look at the situation which we're in today, COVID-19, 4,500 children die of not having clean water on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And we've had this COVID-19 virus, which has obviously peaked now, and it's in the last 3 months have killed 40,000 people here in the UK. Yeah. But what we're doing, about 4,500 children dying every day in those deprived countries around the world. I mean, I'm not going into it in that way, but I think the world needs to really slow down and think about the real aspects of certain things. And how we're looking at things, and situations and stuff like that just kind of gets overseen, because in those third world countries, there's nothing there. There's no commodities there. There's nothing there. They're only children. They're poor. Let them die. But the purpose of the Izzy Foundation is just to give fresh water to these.
And what's really good to hear is when you want to give back because of the life you've got. We have been built on such a solid foundation. We were allowed to grow up organically without technology, and then we moved into the technology era. We're in the same generation here. And I think going through that, living with our parents that were first generation into the country, seeing all that, and then building our lives as a foundation. So we're standing on the shoulder of giants. That's where I see, our last generation. So the way I see is that if we're not going to step up And if we're not going to move it forward for the next generation to stand on our shoulders, then what's the point of us being here? You know, and things like this, you know, inspire me, because you're trying to make a change and make a difference to people that you may never see, you may never know, but you know it's going to make a difference. And that difference will impact, you know, if you look at it as percentage, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like that, you move 1 degree and within, you know, 10 years, there's so much change that's been affected. And because of the, you know, goodness that you've built into your life and the foundation you've had from your parents and your family, it allows you to think in this way. And it's for me, it's so, I'm so blessed to be surrounded with people like you, because it drives me forward to say, so what am I doing now? You know, these are the people around me, and I identify with all of you guys around me. And I say, how can I now step up, and what can I do? Because if we can all do this together, the next generation around us, so our kids and their friends, will then say, this is how my parents live their life. So what are we going to do next? You know, and it's us giving them more choices. We had few choices, and we built our life on that, and they will have more choices to then build their life on that, right?
Correct, absolutely correct. It's a must. You've got to give back to society, you know, even a little bit, whatever you can contribute to, you need to give back, because if you don't do that, and if you don't start doing that now, you're not setting a good example for your children, because our children have got everything. What haven't they got? They've got everything they need.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's having the viewpoint of finding the world a little bit better than before you got here on this planet, leaving it a little bit better because you've been here. And I think, you know, that is really important, because we want our impact to be felt when we're gone. You know, like I said, that impact is felt through our children with the way they live their lives, but all the things that we set up that can affect so many other people. Because it's not about me, it's about we, isn't it?
Sure.
It's about this, you know, the world as a community. We are all just cells within this universe called, as, you know, the world. And if we can be the strongest version of ourselves that we can be, we then change the whole system, and we build, you know, we can build a world that's more giving. You know, we reflect back to the world what we want to see, and that's what reflects back to us, right? It's like a mirror. You know, if we want to see more greed, we will see it. If we want to see more anger, we will see it, because that's the way we live our lives. If we want to see more giving and more love and more energy of positivity, that's what we reflect, and the world reflects that back to us, right?
Yeah, absolutely correct. Agreed.
Yeah. So as we sort of head to the end of the conversation, as you know, me and you we can carry on like this all day. So I'm going to sort of couple of questions I've got for you, that I just want people to understand you a little bit more deeper, and things that are important to you. So, you know, we've reached the end of your energy on this planet, right? You know, you're nearly 200 years old. You've done everything you want to do. Everything is just worked out exactly right. But now you're surrounded by the people you want to be around you. You don't have enough energy to speak, but you've got one pen and a paper, and they've asked you to write down 3 words. 3 words that have helped you in your life, and hopefully if they practice them, it can help them in their life. What would those 3 words be for you?
I think very good question. I think love, time, and patience. Those are the 3 words I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
On the spot.
Yeah. And in your life, I know, you know, those 3 things are, I think, core foundation of everyone's life. And if we then realize and reflect back on that to say, time for me has always been a currency of wealth. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, especially in the Western community, judge wealth by money. But for me, it's by time. Money buys you time, and time means you can use your time to be the best version of yourself and do all the things that make you be strong, so that you can be strong for all those around you. And time gives you that, and it's a currency that once spent, you're never going to get back. So I think if we use that wisely, and we keep using that wisely, it's a great thing. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on those 3. Now the last thing is, I've sourced a microphone, and that microphone is connected to the world. Okay, everyone can hear you right now. There's 7.58 billion people plugged in. There's no language barrier, so they understand what you're saying. They're all awake and they're all ready to listen to what you say. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to share your message with the world. If I left you with that, what would your message be?
My message would be, dream big. If you have a dream, always believe in your dream. Be positive. Keep at your dream. Keep aiming for the best. As I said earlier, you'll always get rejections and it will always be difficult, but have that positive mindset, dream big, and no matter how short you fall, that dream will become reality.
Perfect. And I know you've lived your life like this and you believe in it strongly. And I think that's why you would want to share that message as well. So thank you, Ash. I think at this time, I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you for the person you are, the human being you are. I've learned so much from you, even from afar, just being around you, being in your energy, and, being where I've even thought sometimes, what would Ash do? And it's allowed me to open up a different part of my brain to think, okay, this is the way I want to do things. So thank you for being you. Thank you for looking after my best friend, although she probably looks after you more than you look after her. But thank you for, you two make it such a great couple, and, you're raising 3 great kids. I know there's so much longer to go and there's so many more experiences we're going to have, and there's so much more that we're going to see each other and be a part of each other's lives. So if you ever need anything, I'm here. And likewise, if I ever need anything, I will call you. So thank you for spending your time with me today. Thank you for sharing your views and your viewpoints. I know a lot of people are going to get so much out of this. So just want to leave everyone here. So Ash, just a quick goodbye from you.
Yeah, thanks, Bhavik. Thanks for your time. And likewise, anytime you need anything, obviously, phone call away. And yeah, I hope everybody, I don't know if it's going wherever it's going, but I hope I've contributed something positive for it.
And I hope, I've always prayed before I start this to say, hopefully our messages reach the people it needs to reach, to help them make a decision that maybe they think that life is not worth living, and hopefully gets them back up and says, actually, you know what, life is worth it, because we need strong people around us. So thank you all guys for listening. Thank you for getting to the end of this conversation. And let me leave you with this message. Big energy leads to big thoughts lead to big ideas lead to big actions, and big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.
And I embrace everything, and I want people to remember me, but I have to also make sure that when I leave an impression, it's got to be a positive one.